Chapter 1. My best friend and I both transmigrated into a tragic romance novel. She is the white moonlight that the crown prince has pursued for years and finally married. Meanwhile, I am the malicious supporting character who forced the imperial tutor to marry me by using the debt of saving his life. That night, my best friend cried, her eyes swollen. He went to see the female lead again and even said if anything happens to her, I'll have to pay with my life. Looking at the carts of gold and silver behind her, my heart ached. As for my husband, he only spends money on the female lead. She suddenly stopped crying, her voice indignant. How can we live like this? We might as well fake our deaths and be done with it. Fake your death, my foot. A few years later, my best friend and I opened a male beauty parlor, leisurely enjoying the sight of handsome men in traditional attire, giving massages. Suddenly, a group of soldiers barged in, knocking my dear friend unconscious with a single strike. Take her back to the crown prince's residence. I was just about to stand up and save her when I saw the stingy imperial tutor standing at the door, his face cold as ice. You and I, don't we have a debt to settle as well? When Lily Thompson came to find me, I was lying on the bed, enjoying the gentle hands of a maidservant. As soon as she entered, she signaled the maid to leave. How bold of you! Your husband, the imperial tutor, is already 30 and still like this? I helplessly shook my head, inwardly lamenting my misfortune. Oh my, isn't this Persian tribute fabric? Even I don't have it, yet the imperial tutor brought it back for you? I stroked the bedding, recalling how last night he bit my ear and softly coaxed, be good, yen yen. This time, I won't let your knees get scraped anymore. I sat up and noticed Lily Thompson's eyes were red and swollen. She caught my gaze and tilted her head slightly. Charles Prince went looking for Diana Smith. She's been missing for 3 days, and he's been frantically searching for her all this time. As she spoke, she rolled up her sleeve. I immediately jumped to my feet, ignoring the pain in my thigh. He dared to lay a hand on you. That scoundrel. This lady here will cut him down. Lily Thompson quickly held me back. It was just an accident, but he said if anything happens to Diana Smith, he'll make me pay with my life. Lily Thompson and I were originally from the modern era, growing up together in an orphanage. It was a struggle to reach adulthood and start earning a living, ready to enjoy the world outside. But just as we stepped out, we were hit by a car and killed. Well, not entirely killed, we ended up transmigrating into a novel. Lily Thompson became the Prime Minister's daughter, a highly educated and cultured young lady who captivated the Crown Prince at first sight. Charles Prince went to great lengths to win her over and eventually married her. As for me, my fate wasn't so fortunate. I transmigrated into a character whose family had just had their assets confiscated. Thankfully, a maid reminded me about a scholar-turned-official who owed me his life after I saved him during a crisis. Not wanting to suffer, I used this life-saving favor to coerce him into marrying me. He agreed, and only then did I ask for his name, Lucas Hill. I nearly choked. Lucas Hill was the male lead of the novel. And the supporting female character who forced him into marriage? Wasn't she the one who caused endless troubles for the main couple and met a tragic end? Can I not get married? I hesitated. Lucas Hill, who was in the middle of removing his robe, froze and glanced at the room adorned in red. What do you think? At first, everything seemed fine. Lily Thompson and the Crown Prince became the perfect couple admired throughout the capital. I married Lucas Hill, and aside from some exhausting nights, life was comfortable. I had good food, fine clothes, and nothing to worry about. But 3 months ago, the female lead, Diana Smith, appeared. Lucas Hill brought her back from the battlefield, claiming she was a brilliant strategist. Lily Thompson and I were dumbfounded. After all, we only had a middle school education, hardly enough to join in on their deep intellectual discussions. Meanwhile, Diana Smith, a history graduate student, was clearly in a league of her own. Since her appearance, Charles Prince has given her special attention. Even at the Crown Prince's residence, he only sleeps in the study. As for Lucas Hill, he's even more outrageous. He has never given me pocket money. Every time I go out, someone has to pay for me, leaving me with nothing to save for an escape. But with Diana Smith, he generously spends 300 gold coins. Whatever, I can't live like this anymore. Lily Thompson choked up and nodded. Shall we go? I rubbed my hands nervously, but I don't have any money. She laughed domineeringly. Do you think I'd let you have no money? Let's go. Lily Thompson hesitated slightly. Her family, the Prime Minister's household, treated her very well, and she didn't want to implicate them. Suddenly, an idea struck me. Those years of reading novels finally came in handy. Fake death. You're so clever. Lucas Hill returned late at night. Ever since Diana Smith disappeared, he's been coming home very late. After bathing and changing clothes, his hand familiarly slipped into my collar. Can't you just stay quiet and rest for one day? I immediately woke up, glaring at him. Seeing I was awake, he didn't bother hiding his intentions, leaned closer, and asked in a low voice, "What did you do today?" "Nothing at all. You don't give me money, I can't even step out the door, so what could I possibly do?" My tone wasn't pleasant, but he didn't get angry. Did the Crown Princess visit? Every time Lily Thompson and I gathered to chat, my attitude toward Lucas Hill became particularly bad. Thus, he really disliked me meeting with her. Stop seeing her so much in the future. Then give me money, and I'll go find someone else to hang out with. His kisses fell continuously on my face and neck, but he still replied, "No money." Bastard. These past days, he spent thousands of silver coins searching for Diana Smith, but when it comes to me, he claims there's no money. Suddenly, I remembered a phrase often encountered in novels, a tool for venting anger. The mood suddenly sank. He treated me so poorly, yet apart from Lily Thompson, he was still the one who treated me the best. Why are you crying? Can you stop being so kind to Diana Smith? I am your wife. His face suddenly darkened. What on earth do you think about all day? Was he about to get angry? I couldn't let him disrupt my plans with Lily Thompson. I quickly embraced him. I think about you. My mind, my heart, every inch of my body thinks only of you. This response seemed to satisfy Lucas Hill, but in return, the torment that followed was even longer and heavier. The next morning, as he was leaving, he bent down and kissed the tip of my nose. I was moved, but then I heard him instruct his subordinates, increase the guards around the storage. What? Seriously, who guards against their wife as if she were a thief? I couldn't stay in this house for another day. When I sought out Lily Thompson, chaos had already erupted at the Crown Prince's residence. Charles Prince stepped down from his carriage, holding a woman in his arms. Just one glance at the jade bracelet on her wrist, and I knew it was Diana Smith. Her clothes were stained with blood, and she leaned weakly against the Crown Prince. When she saw Lily Thompson, she clung to Charles Prince's neck in terror. Charles Prince immediately consoled her, "Don't be afraid. I'm here. No one will dare harm you." Diana Smith timidly glanced at Lily Thompson, trembling, her eyes brimming with tears. "Your Highness, please let me go. I'm so scared," she pleaded, then turned to Lily Thompson, begging, "Crown Princess, I swear my relationship with the Crown Prince is pure. I will never approach him again. Please believe me." All eyes instantly focused on Lily Thompson. One of her maids stepped forward to accuse her, detailing how she had bribed bandits to kidnap Diana Smith, even emphasizing, "The Crown Princess specifically ordered the bandits to take turns disgracing Miss Smith." As soon as the words were spoken, Charles Prince flew into a rage. He was about to order Lily Thompson's punishment when his advisor quickly intervened. Lily Thompson was not like me. Behind her stood the powerful Thompson family, the current Grand Chancellor's household. Even Charles Prince dared not act rashly. Lily Thompson remained silent, looking at Charles Prince with eyes full of hope, waiting for her husband to trust her. Chapter 2. Charles Prince narrowed his eyes, his gaze filled with disdain. "Do you have anything left to say?" Lily Thompson clenched her fists tightly, her nails digging deep into her skin as if she couldn't feel the pain. 5 years of marriage, and you'd rather believe an outsider than trust me? He only let out a cold laugh. It's because I trusted you too much that Diana suffered so many grievances. I thought you were different, but it turns out you're no better than those scheming women in the backyard, all sweet words and hidden daggers. After saying this, he carried Diana Smith into the manor, without looking back. His entourage followed him, leaving only Lily Thompson standing stubbornly in place. She wiped her tears and shouted loudly, "I will uncover the truth, no matter what." His steps faltered for a few seconds, but only for a few seconds. When no one else was around, I finally dared to step forward. "Are you okay?" Lily Thompson wiped her tears away, grabbed my hand. "Let's go. The arrangements have already been made." We ran straight to the mountain where Diana Smith had once disappeared. "Are we really investigating this case?" "Investigate what?" "Soon, people will come to hunt us down, and then we'll both fall off the cliff, neither alive nor dead." After saying this, she whistled, and from the trees and bushes, masked figures suddenly jumped out. She and I exchanged glances, screamed for help, and tore our clothes, even throwing her embroidered shoes off the cliff. Looking at the embroidered shoes, my heart ached. Those shoes were adorned with gemstones, and had been custom-made by Lucas Hill. "Are we really jumping?" Lily Thompson, resolute, didn't wait for me to prepare. She circled behind me and kicked me down first. We drifted along the river and arrived at a village, recently rescued by someone. Fortunately, both of us had previously won city-level swimming competitions, otherwise, we would have truly perished. "Miss, you've finally arrived." It was Daisy Green, the maid of Lily Thompson. Before I could finish vomiting the water from my stomach, I was already captivated by the glittering chests behind her. "Are these yours?" Lily Thompson, while wringing out the water from her clothes, replied, "They're yours too. You're truly my life-saving benefactor." Looking at myself, apart from the clothes with some remaining value, I was utterly penniless. In my heart, I silently cursed Lucas Hill once again. "Sister, our good days officially begin now." Charles Prince Diana Smith said she was deeply afraid of Lily Thompson and resolutely refused to stay at the Crown Prince's residence. "The Grand Tutor is a reasonable man, perhaps he would be willing to take me in." As she spoke, she carefully observed Charles Prince's expression. Only when she saw no trace of suspicion on his face did she breathe a sigh of relief. Her goal was clear, to stay close to Lucas Hill, the male protagonist. Everything that had happened before was merely to draw his attention. In this era, a woman without status or background who wished to live with dignity had only one option: to make a man of high standing completely devoted to her. Only then would others begin to respect her. "Your Highness, please do not blame the Crown Princess. Women like her can only rely on the favor of their husbands to survive. Naturally, they cannot understand that between men and women, there exists not just love but also great principles." Charles Prince sighed, a trace of confusion crossing his face. "The Crown Princess has always been tolerant and magnanimous. This time, however, she has truly been disappointing." Diana Smith immediately consoled him, "She's only acting out of fear of losing you. After all, her position and favor in the Crown Prince's residence are closely tied to the Thompson family's honor. Of course, she wouldn't want anything to go wrong." Then, she smiled softly. "Your aspirations are lofty, Your Highness. The Crown Princess cannot comprehend them, so one cannot blame her." These words stirred something deep within Charles Prince's heart. He had grown accustomed to Diana Smith's calm and resilient demeanor. Now, seeing her frail and leaning against him, he only felt more pity for her. Meanwhile, Daisy Green stumbled back to the Crown Prince's residence, collapsing at the gates. As soon as she regained consciousness, she shouted, "Quick! Save the Crown Princess! Save the Crown Princess!" The butler was stunned. "Daisy Green, what happened to you? Why are you alone? Where is the Crown Princess?" Tears streamed down Daisy Green's face like a torrential rain. "Quickly inform the Crown Prince to save her." The Crown Princess was investigating the disappearance of Miss Smith when she was attacked by mountain bandits and fell off a cliff. The butler dropped the medicine bowl in his hand with a loud crash. What did you say? Where is the Crown Prince? The Crown Prince is out with Miss Smith and hasn't returned yet. The news of the Crown Princess encountering trouble was no trivial matter. First and foremost, the Thompson family would not let it go uninvestigated. If rumors spread, it could even affect public sentiment. The butler, in a frantic state, could only rally everyone in the residence to search for the Crown Prince and await his decision. When Charles Prince returned, he nearly collided with the butler. Your Highness, you're finally back. The Crown Princess. Charles Prince frowned, his face showing clear irritation. What about her? Has she admitted her mistake? If so, tell her to prepare to apologize to Diana. The butler let out a wail and burst into tears. The Crown Princess fell off a cliff. Charles Prince stopped breathing for a moment, his lips trembling in disbelief. What did you just say? What happened to the Crown Princess? Who fell off a cliff? The Crown Princess, Your Highness. It's the Crown Princess who fell off the cliff. You're lying. Charles Prince immediately delivered a kick to the butler's chest. The Crown Princess is still in the residence. How could she? He couldn't finish his sentence. The butler spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted on the spot. Daisy Green knelt down, staring directly into Charles Prince's eyes with a cold voice. The butler isn't lying. It was you who forced the Crown Princess to such a dangerous place. Her gaze showed no fear. You didn't trust the Crown Princess. Her Highness clearly didn't harm Miss Smith, but everyone treated her as a wicked woman. Even her husband, who once shared her bed, humiliated her in front of others and wanted to abandon her. Looking into Daisy Green's resentful eyes, Charles Prince suddenly saw the resilient and aggrieved face of Lily Thompson. Your Highness, why didn't you trust the Crown Princess? She is your wife. She was wholeheartedly devoted to you. Charles Prince staggered back a few steps, needing the support of a guard's arm to remain standing. Lily isn't dead. She won't die. Search for her, at any cost, I must find her. With that, he stumbled out the door. When he reached the cliff's edge, he saw a pair of embroidered shoes lying on the rocky ledge. He collapsed to his knees, coughed up blood, and cried out Lily Thompson's name before fainting. More than a dozen royal physicians worked tirelessly to save him, and eventually, he regained consciousness. Daisy Green brought a set of clothes. Your Highness, this was made by the Crown Princess for you. The royal physician was startled and hurriedly intervened. Daisy Green, His Highness has just. This was made by Lily for me? Charles Prince immediately clutched the garment, tears streaming down his face. Daisy Green maintained a cold expression. That's right. The Crown Princess said that Her Highness may not be as well educated or talented as Miss Smith, nor does she have grand ambitions. She only wishes for His Highness to wear it comfortably and live happily, as that would make her the happiest person in the world. Hearing this, the royal physician's face turned pale, and he anxiously stomped his foot on the spot. There's even the Crown Princess's blood on this garment. Her hands were pricked by needles countless times, causing them to bleed, yet she still smiled. Charles Prince clutched his chest, his face ashen. Lily, it was me. I was the one who caused your death. He tilted his head back and let out a heart-wrenching cry before collapsing unconscious once again. Daisy Green sneered coldly and quietly stepped back. Just as she was about to leave, a tall figure swept in front of her like the wind. Lucas Hill gripped her shoulders tightly. Where is Emily White? Daisy Green was stunned, silently cursing her misstep. A moment ago, overwhelmed by emotion, she had completely forgotten Miss White's instructions. Frowning, she decided to fabricate. Miss White knew you loved Miss Smith, so before she died, she only said one thing, Lucas Hill, Diana Smith, I wish you both happiness. Lucas Hill slowly raised his head, a strange, icy smile spreading across his face. Is that so? I and Lily Thompson chose a small county far from the capital to live in. She gently waved her hand, dividing the gold and silver treasures in half. I am your most loyal servant, please feel free to command me, my master, hee hee. Lily Thompson smiled, her gaze resting on a hairpin. This was a gift from Charles Prince. At the time, just because I looked at it for a moment longer, he noticed and specifically bought it for me. She appeared momentarily lost in thought. He was my first love, it's normal that he's hard to forget, right? After all, before the female lead appeared, he treated me very well. Hearing this, I couldn't help but think of Lucas Hill. Charles Prince was her first love, while Lucas Hill was mine. When I first transmigrated, I was exiled. Alone, with no place to turn to, and no one I knew. Lucas Hill once knelt before the emperor, pleading for me, staying on his knees for an entire day and night. By the time he obtained the royal pardon, I had already been escorted out of the capital with the exiles. I once believed there was no hope left. After all, who would risk ruining their future for an insignificant act of kindness? But just as I was about to hang myself on an ancient banyan tree in the dead of night, I heard the frantic sound of hooves. Lucas Hill appeared before me, ignoring the stench on me, lifted me onto his horse, and gently said, "Let's go home." Even now, whenever I recall that scene, my heart still races. Unfortunately, I am merely the villainess. When Diana Smith, the female lead, appears, everything will change. Rather than waiting for my doom, I might as well leave and enjoy life. Chapter 3 In just 2 short years, we successfully established the Ilu Institute. Unlike traditional brothels, our clientele primarily consists of women. Has Mrs. Hua arrived? Please, have a seat. I laid out a series of portrait sketches in front of her and began introducing them one by one. This man is 1.85 meters tall, a tanned athlete with great physical strength. Mrs. Hua tilted her neck and sighed, pick someone strong. My neck is sore from studying the mahjong set you gave me. All right then. Mrs. Li, gentle and sweet, was paired with a shy scholar. His ears would always turn red whenever he spoke with the ladies. Our massage services have become renowned throughout the region. Xing, your technique is improving day by day, I remarked. Xing is my favorite masseur. His features resemble those of Lucas Hill. He serves only me. As for Lily Thompson, now fully dedicated to her career, she's learning new knowledge from a teacher. How's it going? Learned anything yet? She nodded and smiled. He explains so well that even his appearance becomes pleasing to the eye. I knew it. By the way, tomorrow we plan to meet his parents. Nathan Brown only has his mother left, and he wants to introduce me to her. The two of them met on a rainy day when Lily Thompson forgot her umbrella, and Nathan Brown offered her his. I've met him a few times. His looks are indeed comparable to Charles Prince. Mature in character and virtuous in nature. I wasn't planning to stop her. Lily Thompson started trying on outfits. How about this one? Lively yet dignified. And this one? Dignified yet elegant. Antin seemed like he wanted to say something to me. Sister. Before he could finish, the door suddenly burst open with a loud bang. A group of royal guards stormed in, surrounding us. Antin, terrified, hid behind me. Sister, I'm scared. Don't be scared. I'm here. Lily Thompson stepped out in another outfit. How about this one? Will Nathan's mother like it? It's beautiful. I'll make sure to admire it thoroughly when we return. Charles Prince's voice echoed from behind her, cold yet restrained. Before Lily Thompson could react, a guard struck her unconscious, and her delicate figure fell into Charles Prince's arms. He gently cradled her, as if holding a priceless treasure. Put her down. I immediately stood up to chase after him, but Antin held me back. Sister, don't go. I'm scared. I hastily patted his head. Don't be scared. I'm here. Are you certain you can protect him? A familiar voice rang out, like a bucket of icy water poured over me. Lucas Hill entered, his face pale as jade, a sinister smile playing on his lips. Be good, am, and come home with your husband. Lucas Hill didn't say a word the entire way. I, on the other hand, was deeply surprised. Why had he grown so thin? His complexion was unnaturally pale. What's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell? His long eyelashes fluttered slightly as he slowly turned to look at me. Do you care? He gently caressed my hand, his voice low and hoarse. Or are you just waiting for me to die so you can leave me forever? No, I truly care about you. At last, the tension in his expression eased, and the corners of his lips lifted slightly. Taking advantage of his seemingly good mood, I hurriedly asked, do you know where Charles Prince took Lily Thompson? Is she in danger? Lucas Hill looked straight into my eyes, a mocking smirk playing on his lips. I knew it. You don't actually care about me. You're only interested in her whereabouts. Suddenly, he lunged forward, pinning me beneath him. Right now, the one in danger is you. With that, he tore my clothing apart, his lips trailing over every inch of my skin. Yet, as if unsatisfied, his actions grew more intense, like an addict unable to stop. Lucas Hill, are you insane? This is a carriage. He paid no attention. Did that weakling ever treat you like this? Never. His eyes glimmered with emotions I couldn't decipher. I spoke the truth, though I wasn't sure if he believed me. After a long silence, Lucas Hill nodded. You're getting smarter. From now on, no matter when I ask, you'll answer me like that. Understand? Stop it. He deliberately ignored my plea. By the time it was over, we had arrived back in the capital. Stepping out of the carriage, I was utterly drained, curling up in his cloak as he carried me into the manor. Inside, nothing had changed since I left, except for the bedroom, which was now filled with the pungent smell of medicine. As soon as we entered, the butler approached with a bowl of medicine. My lord, please drink this. Did your illness relapse during the journey? I'm fine, he replied, downing the bitter liquid in one go. While doing so, he gripped my hand tightly, as though afraid I might escape. What's wrong with you? You don't look well at all. It's nothing. He pulled the blanket over me, his gaze soft. Even if I'm not fully recovered, I can still make you happy. Are you out of your mind? That's not what I meant. Knowing it was pointless to argue, I sat up and began dressing. What are you doing now? I'm going to find Lily Thompson. She was taken by Charles Prince, that despicable man, and who knows what's happened to her by now. Lucas Hill sneered coldly. Do you think I would let you leave? He was a man of his word. In the days that followed, he barely left my side for even a moment. Even when he had to step away, he meticulously arranged for a group of elite guards to watch over me. I had no chance to leave the residence. The more this went on, the more anxious I became for Lily Thompson. That night, Lucas Hill returned, looking more exhausted than usual. When will you let me go outside? I promise I will come back. I just want to find Lily Thompson, she is my closest sister. He collapsed beside me, his body writhing in pain, his lips pale and terrifyingly bloodless. What's wrong with you? I asked. Gripping my hand tightly, his voice was weak. Don't even think about leaving me, not even for a single step. I'll go find a doctor, I said. He tightened his grip on my hand even more. Moments later, he passed out. I hurriedly called for the steward. My lord, the steward sobbed, it's been a year since his last relapse, why is it so severe this time? All attention was focused on Lucas Hill. This was my best chance to escape. I glanced at him lying unconscious on the bed, looking so frail as if he were on the brink of death. Closing my eyes, I made up my mind. I'm sorry, Lily is the only family I have. I gathered my robes and, taking advantage of the distraction, slipped out unnoticed. Outside the Crown Prince's residence, guards were stationed everywhere. I made my way to the dog kennel where Lily Thompson and I used to secretly meet. Thankfully, it hadn't been sealed off. Crawling inside, I discovered she was no longer in the old room. The Crown Prince's residence was vast, and I didn't know where to start. Miss Thompson?" I was startled as Daisy Green pulled me behind an artificial rock. "Where is your lady?" Daisy Green burst into tears. "My lady is dead." Lily Thompson. When Lily Thompson woke up, she was already in the Crown Prince's residence. Charles Prince sat beside the bed. Seeing her awake, he gently asked, "Do you feel unwell anywhere?" Looking at him, she couldn't help but recall the early days of their marriage. Back then, whenever she fell ill, Charles Prince would always take care of her attentively, staying up all night by her side without a second thought. That worried face, full of concern, was something she could never forget. But now, she no longer felt moved. Because she no longer loved him. Charles Prince noticed the change in her gaze, a cold, distant look, like countless arrows, piercing his heart. But he pretended not to see it and continued to care for her, trying to mend their relationship as it was in the beginning. "Where's Emily White? I want to see her." Charles Prince could only say, "She's with the Grand Tutor, perfectly safe. You should rest first, your health is more important." Lily Thompson didn't want to make things difficult for him, but she accidentally overheard Daisy Green say that Charles Prince had imprisoned a scholar. She immediately realized it was Nathan Brown. When Charles Prince heard that she had gone to the dungeon, he hurried over, only to see the woman he loved most cradling a bloodied Nathan Brown, sobbing uncontrollably. He could have killed that man instantly. As the Crown Prince, taking a life was as easy as turning a hand. But he didn't. He wanted Lily Thompson to lose all hope completely. Charles Prince said to Nathan Brown, "Just tell Lily Thompson that the past days were all lies, that you never truly loved her. I can offer you a promising career path or as much money as you want." Nathan Brown simply smiled and shook his head, "I won't say that. I love her. I don't like lying." Charles Prince suppressed his anger and continued to propose conditions that were hard for anyone to refuse. But every promise, every temptation was firmly rejected by Nathan. Failing to persuade him, Charles Prince resorted to torture. Nathan Brown endured all the suffering in the dungeon, but when facing Charles Prince, he still mustered the strength to say, "I love Lily Thompson." When Lily Thompson found him, he was already on the brink of death. "Charles Prince, I hate you." Charles Prince leaned against the doorframe, his heart feeling as if it was being crushed. She said she hated him. "How can you hate me? I am your husband. You once loved me." Lily Thompson said nothing more, for the man in her heart, Nathan Brown, had taken his last breath. Charles Prince didn't know how to mend Lily Thompson's broken heart. He returned Nathan Brown's body to his hometown and gave him a proper burial. For the first time in many days, Lily Thompson smiled faintly. "I want to visit the temple, to light an eternal lantern for Tong Van." Though he didn't want to, this was the first thing she had said to him in so long, so he reluctantly agreed but insisted on accompanying her. Chapter 4 On the road, Lily Thompson did not hesitate and jumped straight into the rushing river. Charles Prince immediately followed her, but he was quickly pulled back by someone else. From that day on, Charles Prince fell ill, completely losing the will to live. Once again. "I killed her." He kept muttering this sentence endlessly. "Do you know why Lucas Hill's health is like that?" Daisy Green sighed, "That is my fault. After Lily Thompson and I left, everyone believed we had died. Only Lucas Hill, he always believed I was still alive." Because of the last words Daisy Green told him. When he heard that before her supposed death, I had given him and Diana Smith my blessings, Lucas Hill cried and laughed at the same time, saying, "She's still alive. How could she possibly bless me and Diana Smith? If she didn't scold me for 3 days and nights, that would already be a miracle." From that day, he and Charles Prince went mad searching for us. Diana Smith never expected that the male lead she wanted to conquer would grieve so deeply over such a wicked supporting character. On the second day after she moved into the Grand Chancellor's residence, she was thrown out by Lucas Hill. Unwilling to accept this, she devised a plan. Obtaining a type of poison powder from opium smugglers, she used items that once belonged to me to deceive him. She claimed that as long as he obeyed and drank it, she would reveal my whereabouts. Unexpectedly, someone as clever as Lucas Hill fell into the trap. He became addicted to the poison but still wouldn't listen to Diana Smith, let alone love her. Frustrated, she allied with Prince Stone to rebel, but in the end, she was shot dead by Charles Prince on the city wall. No wonder he has been looking so much thinner lately. Daisy Green, come back to the Grand Chancellor's residence with me. She burst into tears. My lady, don't mind her anymore. A wise bird chooses the right branch to perch on. From now on, I'll take care of you. Huh? She gaped in astonishment. When I returned to the Grand Chancellor's residence, the butler was already waiting at the door. Oh heavens, madam, you're finally back. As soon as I stepped in, I heard the sound of things being smashed inside. The entire staff had been sent out to search for me, leaving only the butler in the residence. Lucas Hill, I'm back. The door to the room immediately swung open. He stood there, staring at me in shock, his eyes turning red. Come here, give me a hug. He turned his face away, awkwardly stepped forward, and pulled me tightly into his arms. All right, this is all your fault for not giving me money. You say you don't like Diana Smith, so why spend money on her? He sniffled and muttered softly, I didn't give her money. That money was for her to reorganize military affairs. Then why did you go crazy with worry when she went missing? Because she had the map of our troop deployments. How could I not worry? I froze for a moment. So that's how it was. Then why won't you give me money to spend? He stammered, unable to answer. Fine. That means you still don't love me enough. Goodbye, then. He quickly held me tighter. I overheard you and Lily Thompson talking. You said if you saved enough money, you'd leave here. What? Every time Lily Thompson and I spoke, we were always cautious, yet we were still eavesdropped on. Despicable. He lowered his head to look at me, his gaze serious. Don't leave any more, all right? All my money is yours, you can spend it however you like, all right? As he spoke, he placed the treasury keys into my hand. Don't leave me, all right? Before I could respond, his expression suddenly darkened. From the moment you stepped through this door, I never intended to let you leave again. I never said I was leaving. Can you stop being so dramatic? Seeing him about to drag me into the secret chamber he had painstakingly prepared, I quickly explained. Really? He looked at me suspiciously. Really, I said, tears streaming down my face. Lily Thompson is dead. In this world, I only have you left. If not here, where else can I go? Lucas Hill's eyes flickered, contemplating my words. In the end, he believed me. It wasn't until much later that I truly understood Lucas Hill's suspicious nature. It had been 3 years since I returned, and only now had he gradually let down his guard around me. Charles Prince had ascended to the throne but showed no interest in governing. He spent his days searching for women who resembled Lily Thompson. The one currently most favored was Consort Sien. I had only seen her from a distance during a palace banquet, and at first glance, I almost thought she was Lily Thompson. As for Lucas Hill, he was now the regent, constantly busy. One night, after he had asked the servants to bring water for the 3rd time and carried me over, I spoke up, I want to fulfill a vow. He froze, his gaze wary as he looked at me. What are you scheming this time? If you dare try to escape again, I'll break your legs and lock you in the manor. No, no. Back then, Lily Thompson and I made a vow, before the Bodhisattva statue in that village. Now that she's gone, I want to return to fulfill it. He deliberated for a long time, making my neck ache from looking up at him, before finally saying, I'll go with you. You're so busy, do you even have the time? He pondered for a long while, then nodded, fine, but someone will accompany you. All right. On the day of departure, I regretted agreeing to let him make the arrangements. He sent nearly 100 people to escort me. Thankfully Daisy Green was with me. Upon reaching the outskirts of the village from years ago, I found the statue of the Bodhisattva and knelt down, sincerely bowing 3 times. That night, the window in my room suddenly opened. Emily White. Damn it. Lily Thompson, how dare you come here? She laughed mischievously. The moment Daisy Green told me she had jumped into the river, I knew she must still be alive. Because there are thousands of ways to die, why choose to jump into a river that leads directly to this place? She told me that she and Nathan Brown had gotten married. So, does he treat you well? Lily Thompson's face flushed slightly, and she nodded gently, very well. She also revealed that years ago, Nathan Brown hadn't truly died. He had only taken medicine to fake his death. Seeing her so happy, I felt at ease. The next morning, I immediately set off to return. I was afraid staying too long would attract Charles Prince's attention. As soon as I arrived back at the residence, the butler reported, "His Majesty is inside." I stepped in, and Charles Prince waved off my greeting, continuing his conversation with Lucas Hill. Daisy Green and I sat listening, feeling drowsy. Clearly, the two of them were trying to chat, but it felt far from natural. Not until sunset did Charles Prince finally leave. At the door, he suddenly stopped, turned back to look at me, and muttered, "Is she doing well?" I froze in place. Then he continued, "Good, that's all I needed to know." After he left, I immediately pinched Lucas Hill's arm. "Did you tell him?" He smiled wryly, "He's the emperor. Finding someone isn't difficult for him." I hesitated, unsure if I should ask Lily Thompson to move elsewhere, but then I wondered where she could even go. "Don't worry. If His Majesty truly wanted to bother her, he wouldn't have waited until now." "You're right." Suddenly, Lucas Hill scooped me up in his arms. "You've been gone so long, I missed you terribly." He nuzzled his face against mine, like a puppy seeking affection. As I was about to fall asleep, I heard him whisper softly in my ear, "I love you."